Welcome, people of the World Wide Web. So this is Chris from Cypher Sigma Screen Time, and as always, it's the weekend, so it's movie review time. As you've seen from the clip, this is my first watch of this week. So this is Rental Family. So this is an hour and 49 minutes long. I saw two movies. They were both at the exact same time limit. There is nothing after the credits. This is directed by a director called Hirokari. She also did Beef, the Netflix series, I think from 2023. Also, we have Brendan. Basically, this stars Brendan Fraser as Philip. He is an American actor living in Japan, trying to find work. Essentially, he bumps into or gets hired to do this job to be a kind of token American guest at a funeral. Takahiro Hira, Shinji in the film, basically sets this up. He turns up at his funeral. There's a person alive in the casket, and then there's all these people reading like what they thought. And it turns out that basically he provides a service, which is Rental Family, which is essentially people buy packages off him, and they basically provide services to him. So basically Philip's character Brendan Fraser is hired, and it's basically his interactions with people along the story, and that is essentially what this story consists of, and how he intermingles with them, stuff like this. And I did enjoy the movie. There are a few bits, but I will get to that at the end. So spoiler warning is up, and we shall get into it. So as I said, the movie starts. We have Brendan Fraser. He is trying to turn up. He is running a little bit late for this audition, goes into audition, is very kind of perplexed or very down on his luck afterwards, thinking he didn't get this kind of cop drama that would be in Korea and stuff like this. There is a recurring theme with this later on, which we'll see. So essentially, he's struggling for work. You see him as kind of a tree, and he's just trying to make ends meet and stuff like this, living in Japan. Forewarning, if you've kind of got this far, because this movie is featured in Japan, there are a lot of subtitles. I would say about a third to half of the movie is subtitled. So it doesn't show this on the trailer. So just if you don't like subtitles, probably not a movie for you. Apologies if I should have added that into the early warning bit. But yeah, so essentially he is here trying to find work. Obviously he gets a call to be a guest, turns up, and then obviously there's this funeral going on. But as the funeral's going on, and this woman is very upset, which is Ako, which is played by Mari Yamamoto, who also works for Shinji. She's very talkative. He then sees the head of the person come out that's in the kind of coffin in the center of this kind of funeral, turn around, and obviously he's scared. So he's like, oh my God, what the hell is going on? This is when he's approached by Shinji and said, I may have a job offer for you if you want to turn up. So he turns up the next day, explains what his job's doing. And basically Philip's like, I'm an actor. I don't know how to be people's friends and stuff like this. And basically Shinji says, you're helping people. It's a good thing. Plus obviously it's like regular income and stuff like this. So a bit of and he steps away and then changes his mind. And then gets his first role. So his first role is basically a husband of a young girl called Yoshi. And they have this fake wedding. So basically her family believe that she has marrying him. And it goes through all this wedding, and he basically has doubts, and this Ako basically doesn't really like him from that point, because he kind of almost screws up this wedding. And then you find at the end of the day, after the wedding is finished, that the bride is actually has a lesbian lover, and they want to go off and live her own life, but obviously it is shunned upon in the Japanese culture and stuff. And this is why she's had this fake wedding and stuff like this. So he's kind of doing good and very happy, and this kind of spurs him on to then want to do it. You then have a few other jobs he has to do. The two main ones are basically father to Mia. So you have a young half Chinese girl. Dad's not in the picture. The mum wants her to go to a very posh school. They won't let her in without having a husband. So she's created this husband, and he basically has to introduce himself to Mia. Mia has never known her father, doesn't know anything about him or anything. So this is all a surprise to her. And you kind of have this, then the story goes on this side of it. And then you have the other side where he's also hired to be a writer to a famous actor called Kiku Hashigawa. And basically, unfortunately, he is, it doesn't quite specifically say if it's dementia or stuff like that, but he obviously is going through issues and can't really leave the house, but he's there just to interview him, to talk about like his life's work and stuff, and to kind of give him kind of inspiration in his later life to know that he was respected and stuff like this. And this is how the two stories go. It's up until the point of he starts getting too close to Mia. And by the time she gets into the school, the mother decides that basically he will then be moving back to America and be out of her life, which Mia is gets quite bonds with Philip, and is very hurt by this. Up until the point of she sees a video that her friend's watching, and it's Philip acting in a movie, and obviously this is when she starts to gauge that obviously he is an actor, and this has all been a ploy by her mum, and obviously there are a lot of mixed feelings. On the other side of it, he gets quite close to Kyoko, the actor, and basically he knows he's basically on his last legs and he wants to go back to his hometown, and obviously this is shunned upon because of he has medicine or something, and in the end Brendan Fraser kind of honors his request because of everything that happened at Nia. So he takes him on a kind of day trip to this town where he lived, and it's all about this lost love that he had as a young. Then obviously when they wake up the next day, because they stay there, and about to go home, obviously after Shinji phoned up basically saying he's kidnapped his client, and he says, "Oh, I've not kidnapped his client. I'm just fulfilling his wishes because that's what you paid me to do." He unfortunately collapsed and is taken to hospital, and Philip is arrested, and basically he's then given 48 hours to claim his innocence or he will be deported. This is where Shinjo basically doesn't want to do anything, and you kind of see that he's lost touch with what his company do. Akio, basically one of her services is to be people's mistresses and to basically get slapped by people's wives and stuff like that, and you can tell that she's basically gets fed up of that, quits, and then decides to help Philip out by finding basically the person's family and admitting that it was all done legitimately. He's freed, and after he's freed, unfortunately Kiko dies. He goes to a funeral. It's very sad, and then kind of Shinjo reinvents the company, that they don't do a lot of the bad stuff and that they are there just for a purpose, basically to be good. And he reunites with Mia near the end of the movie, and that they kind of become friends, even though she knows it's not her dad. So what did I think of this movie? So I wrote this 6.8, so I went a bit up and down with this. So first I went 7.2, and then I went 6.8, and then I'm like, should go in the middle, and then I'm like, no, I've gone 6.8. This is a really good movie. It's really heartfelt in places. It's really nice to see Brendan Fraser's connections and acting. I cannot fault him. I cannot act and fault him around. The only kind of the overall feeling of this movie is not all of it hits home as hard as I would want it to. And the reason why this doesn't hit home hard is because this rental service is a big thing in Japan, and obviously the Japanese culture, and there's a lot of stuff in Japanese culture like the shonen upon having like a lesbian lover or a few other things, and it's all these parts that, because I can't really relate to them, they're not in my world, I don't really know Japanese culture and all this stuff, there's all these things that I just couldn't connect with, and I enjoyed the story, but I still felt there was a little bit of a gap between being fully in diving into the story and being, captivated by everything. Like, it was really good. I just felt it needed something a little bit more just to bridge that gap, in my opinion. Obviously now if the themes and everything else and stuff like this, obviously this is a rental thing is actually a proper thing in Japan. It's been doing it for many years. So people are accustomed to that, and I think they will relate to it a lot more than what I would. But I still really enjoyed this movie. I feel this is one of the better movies of Brendan Fraser's later career. It's really good to see him doing stuff like this, and I look forward to his work. But that has been my review of Rental Family. I've been Cypher Chris from Cypher Signal Screen Time. Hope you've liked this video, and I'll definitely see you in the next one.